Projekt Guru.
Всем привет! С вами Zak Novak на радиостанции Novorossia Rocks. Welcome back to Novorossia Rocks radio station. This is Zak Novak, your American in downtown Donetsk. The program is called Projekt Guru, and Guru is in the house as always. Andre, my engineer, as well. Let's get right to it. Poroshenko Nazi regime targets civilian areas, 2 wounded and homes destroyed. Nazi Ukrainian forces once again shelling civilian areas of Spartak, Mineralne, Yakovlevka in the Asinovata region and also the suburbs of Gorlovka at 9:30 last night. 31 shells were launched by Nazi fascist hostile forces. It is also very important to point out that the Petrovsky district of Donetsk was also targeted by mortar shelling. Data and information on wounded casualties is still being carried out. Also, Guru, listen to this, 2 civilians wounded due to the cowardly attacks by the Poroshenko regime, the bombing of civilian areas by Kiev Nazi forces. 2 civilians were wounded. This reported by our DPR Defense Ministry. 2 civilians were wounded on Kalinina and Svoboda streets in Yasinovata yesterday. 1 civilian was hospitalized in Yasinovata, another was sent to the Donetsk hospital. 4 homes were also destroyed. 1 building was directly struck. It was earlier reported that the Kiev Junta side launched 25 artillery shells and 83 mortars at Donetsk and Gorlovka suburbs. War crimes by the Poroshenko regime. Assassination attempt on our sister republic President Igor Plotnitsky by Nazi Ukraine Junta Secret Service. The Obama regime spreading its evil hands around the world, trying to disrupt peace. This time he sends his Gestapo agents to assassinate our great leader and President of Lugansk Republic. Nazi Gestapo officers of Ukraine's security service are involved in an assassination attempt on leader and President of our sister republic of Lugansk People's Republic, Igor Plotnitsky, a spokesman for LPR Army said on Saturday. An assassination attempt on Igor Plotnitsky was made earlier on Saturday. A mighty explosive device went off near his car. The injured official was taken to the hospital. According to radio intercepts, diversionists of Ukraine's Gestapo security service who were trained in the town of Severodonetsk have been implicated in a terrorist attack against Plotnitsky in Lugansk. Andrei Marachka was quoted by the Lugansk Information Center. They undergo training under the guidance of foreign case officers from special services of the countries that have inspired the Nazi Ukrainian punitive operation against Donbass people. The LPR army said that not long before the assassination attempt, a special unit of Ukraine's Gestapo security service had established contact and requested to confirm the assassination. LPR law enforcement agencies have launched a search operation for the diversionists. LPR Prime Minister Sergei Kozlov said the facts on the crime scene prove it was a terrorist attack. All law enforcement authorities are involved in the investigation, the Prime Minister said. Plotnitsky's condition is stable and his life is out of danger. Andre, listen to this. Once again, ISIS captures a cache of U.S. weapons, including soldiers' ID in Afghanistan. ISIS has issued photographs over the weekend showing a cache of U.S. weapons that they captured in Afghanistan's Nangarhar province. The cache was said to belong to a soldier named Ryan Larson, and his military ID was also shown in the ISIS photographs. Included in the weapons were grenades and a portable rocket launcher, along with the radio. The Pentagon denied reports that Larson had been captured as well, but did say that it was unfortunate that they lost the advanced equipment and the soldier's ID to ISIS, claiming it had simply been left behind by mistake. ISIS provided no explanation of how or when they came by the weapons, but the speculation right now is that they were captured after heavy fighting in late July when U.S. and Afghan forces fought against them in Nangarhar. 5 U.S. soldiers were wounded in the fighting, though Larson was not among the casualties, and the Pentagon maintains he is on active duty, albeit apparently without his ID. The ISIS affiliate in Afghanistan is centered almost wholly around Nangarhar operationally, though it recruits from much of the nation. The group has been described as operationally active, though the Afghan government claimed in the past that they've virtually wiped ISIS out in offensives. Despite this, the group remains active. The Obama regime fears of losing the proxy war against Russia in Syria. U.S. officials and analysts have been warning Syria's civil war could quickly devolve into a proxy war between Russia and the United States. But to hear them talk lately, that proxy war has been going on for some time already, and they're not liking it. Not liking America's chances, with both sides fighting ISIS, officials have previously sought talking points complaining that Russia was doing it wrong. Lately, however, the U.S. narrative has shifted toward ousting the Syrian government, and since Russia isn't doing that, it's a proxy war. And since Syria's government is in a less precarious position than they were a year ago, America is losing. These oversimplistic goals and interpretations of an increasingly complex war quickly break down on further analysis. The primary targets of Russia and Syria have been Al-Qaeda's Nusra Front and ISIS. Nusra hasn't lost significant ground in the years since Russia began its involvement, and if anything has gained major territory in Aleppo at the expenses of minor losses in Latakia and Homs. ISIS, on the other hand, has lost territory, including around Palmyra, which was indisputably the major Syrian military gain in 2016. Syrian forces have also held off ISIS advances in Deir az-Zor, strengthening their position. In the simplistic version, Assad is stronger, and that's bad, and the CIA wants to send more missiles to rebels to change that. In reality, however, Assad's gains are coming predominantly against ISIS, meaning effectively the U.S. is seeing ISIS losses as America's losses in the proxy war. Underpinning this preposterous shift in priorities is the ongoing discussion of joint U.S.-Russia coordination against Nusra Front. It's unsurprising, given their views, that so many intelligence officials oppose this coordination. After all, if they see anti-Assad forces like ISIS as the de facto U.S. proxies, the same inevitable applies to Nusra, which is a lot closer tied to directly U.S. armed factions. Officials seem to be gambling that this more honest discussion of the proxy war view of Syria will undercut the Russia coordination talks in a way that wild allegations of the whole State Department proposed effort being a ploy by Vladimir Putin ever could. At the same time, it changes America's warfighting priorities dramatically and in ways that a lot of higher-ranking administration officials probably aren't going to be eager to publicly acknowledge. U.S.-backed terrorist group Jabhat Fatah al-Sham claims to have broken the siege at Artillery Academy near Aleppo, Syria. Heavy fighting yesterday in and around the Artillery Academy near Aleppo continued into today, with the Syrian Observation for Human Rights confirming intense battles around the area. But exactly what the outcome of today's fighting remains uncertain, with conflicting reports. The U.S.-backed terrorist group Jabhat Fatah al-Sham, formerly the Nusra Front, claimed to have won the battle and ended the siege of eastern Aleppo. The Syrian Observatory suggested the fighting was continuing, and Hezbollah, which fights on the government side, insisted they'd won and siege was still in place. Syria took the last road into eastern Aleppo last month, and while Nusra claimed to have substantial supplies to resist the siege, they've launched major counteroffensives trying to reverse the losses. The Artillery Academy would, if taken by Nusra, significantly open the area for them, while also threatening to put government-held western Aleppo under a rebel siege. No matter who ends up winning this latest battle, however, it probably won't mean a practical end to the battle over Aleppo, which has raged through most of the war, turning what was once Syria's financial and industrial capital into a ruin of segmented districts held by warring parties. Politics involved, simply disgraceful. The International Paralympic Committee refused to allow the Russian national team to participate in the Paralympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. The team suspended from the Games in full. The International Paralympic Committee suspended the team at full strength to take part in these competitions. Earlier on Saturday, July 6, the Guardian newspaper wrote that the decision to remove the Russian Paralympic team has already been made, and the International Paralympic Committee remains only to declare it officially. The grounds for dismissal of the Russian Paralympic team was a report by the Russophobe Richard McLaren, which said that in Russia there were allegedly systematically doping rules violations. It is not difficult to see in this case the IGC did not even bother with the shifting of responsibility to the federation, as did IOAC, and completely caved in to the propaganda and lies by the Western Federation demanding the removal of the Russian Olympic team. However, the time for the court to appeal, we hope there is still something that can still change. In general, this Olympic Games you can see very clearly, which demonstrates the hypocrisy declared by the Olympic movement, the principles that do not stop at the aggression of events, but on the contrary, strengthen and principle to the Olympics is permeated with political showdowns in different countries and in the country organizer, which there are many protests every day against this Olympics. This Olympics is a complete joke. Such garbage was never seen before. But P.S. folks, there is some good news. Actually great news. Russia's Beslan Mudranov, ranked 18 in the world, defeats number 1 and number 4 to win gold in wrestling competitions, which is especially valuable in the current circumstances, the dirty politics run by the US regime and other Western fascist countries. Hey folks, that ends our program. As I stress always, be safe out there, be on alert, and see you all on Wednesday. Bye-bye, folks.